Well, it looks like Democrats are rolling out a new media strategy. Max Tani of Semaphore reports that House Democrats are welcoming at least 40 new media journalists and digital creators today. Democratic aide told Tani that the goal was to help get out the caucus's message mid-Trump's speech to Congress later tonight. Now, it's highly possible that the reason the Dems are doing this is because some of their talking points are starting to get a bit repetitive. Take a look at this.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down, they're up. Inflation is getting worse, not better. The prices of grocery, gas, housing, eggs, of essentials, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has done nothing. Goose eggs to lower prices. Instead, he's pardoned violent criminals who savagely beat police officers
on January 6th.
He's letting Elon Musk take a chainsaw to vital government programs, and then, even worse, giving him access to Americans' most sensitive data. Social Security numbers, tax returns, health care bills. He's fired thousands of essential workers, people who help our veterans get their benefits, people fighting Ebola in Africa so it doesn't come here. He's frozen funding for vital programs that
Democrats will be hosting a spin room after Trump's address with these 40 new digital media creators.
Assistant News Director, Florida Voice, Eric Dougherty, wrote on X, "Folks, this is why the Democratic Party is dead on arrival, unoriginal, propagandistic, dishonest. No grassroots campaigns or independent thought. Everything is about manipulation and gaslighting. It is why they lost in 2024. Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri joined the fun, writing, "Look, guys, we lost the election in part because people think we are disconnected from the average person. I have an idea. Let's post canned speeches and act like they're real." Senator Mike Lee, based Mike Lee, wrote, "It's almost like someone's telling Democrats what to say." And yeah, when you can't bother to vary up your talking points even slightly, that is a sign they need to bring in some young people to help them, I think.
Well, I think that there's a lot of truth what you're saying about young people. I think that because the Democrats have not, over the last few decades, actually spoken with the kind of authenticity and unabashed advocacy for the working people of the United States that is the core principle, theoretically, of the Democratic Party, it's lost us a lot of people, lost a lot of America's working class, and certainly lost a lot of America's young people. So to put up there people who everybody's seen for decades and decades and decades now, rather than the new voices. Now, there are good voices, though. Senator Chris Murphy's doing a great job, Jasmine Crockett, Greg Cesar. There are great new voices, but some of these old ones should have the honor and the integrity to step aside and let some new people in. So we'll see what these digital content creators are coming up with. You know I'll be watching tonight. Listen, I've had my criticism of a lot of that myself. But at this point, Robby, so many millions of Americans, both within the Democratic Party and outside the Democratic Party, want very, very much for there to be a true resistance and a true compelling alternative to what the Trump administration and Elon Musk most specifically are offering at this moment.
I think what MAGA understands better about the moment we're living in than the Democratic Party is that you have to be engaging and personal, and the message has to be transmitted by someone who is interesting and colorful and that you like to be successful. And Democrats, to your, you just made this point, but are still trotting. I mean, the Democratic Party is so hierarchical. I know you've run into this in your efforts to become DNC chair. It's this next guy's turn, even if the next guy is ancient and has cancer, and specifically calling out Jerry Connolly here, him rather than AOC, who is like one of the only, someone I disagree with vociferously, but one of the only people in the Democratic coalition who has some ability to resonate with actual Trump voters. There are people who voted for Trump and voted for AOC in her district that she tried to understand and engage with. So yeah, bring in some content creators, honestly. That is not a dumb idea. They are so lost in terms of how to reach young people that are moving aggressively to the right. Gen Z is the most right-leaning age cohort of all right now, which is crazy.
Okay, well, two things. First of all, I'm still stuck back a couple of minutes. Elon Musk is hardly an engaging, charming messenger of anything. So that's number one. Number two, yes, there had been a move among young people towards the right for the election, but a lot's been happening since the election, and they are moving right back. There are a lot of people, Robby, whether they are on the left or the right, who are deeply distrustful of what appears to many to be at least an ideological, if not a political and economic coup of the U.S. government. So let's not lose sight of the bigger picture.
They won.
Listen, I have voted for Republican. Excuse me, I've never voted for a Republican, but I have voted for Democrats when Republicans won the presidency. But I did not see them as there to destroy this country. I have never seen a Republican president before who showed so little respect for the U.S. Constitution, or for the rule of law, or for the three co-equal branches of government. So I don't care whether you're
his family members on the way out the door.
Well, what do you think the way that Elon Musk is acting right now, this is not cutting out fat. This is cutting into the marrow of the bone. This is causing trauma. Russ Vought, who's head of the Office of Management and Budget, actually said he wants to traumatize the federal workforce. We have medical researchers that are being let go.
They got to show up for their jobs now?
No. I'm talking about people who are being fired, Robby. I'm talking about food in warehouses in the Sudan and in Somalia that is not being delivered to people who are starving. I'm talking about an unelected, unvetted, unscrupulous billionaire who has the money without even affecting his own lifestyle to feed millions and millions of starving people, who instead is on social media bragging about the fact that he's withholding funding for starving people. And I want to know what's going on, that even our Secretary of State, once again, vetted, absolutely, he has said that he will make sure that money is funding those agencies so that food is delivered to starving people. He's being overridden by Elon Musk. I wonder what Marco Rubio thinks about that.
I would love this to be the Democratic Party's message to Americans. Maybe we'll take out a collection bin. Can I have your paycheck to send to Somalia, please? We would like to give more money to Somalia. Ask Americans what they would hate that. They want America first. They have rejected the give all our money to Somalia approach time and time again. Look, it's always easy to be generous with other people's money.
Compared to other democracies, we give
tiny percentage, fine.
I, as an American taxpayer, am proud of the fact that
our
we
own
are a
checks to
generous.
Somalia.
And also, let me tell you something.
You're
this
generous
is
on somebody
helping
else's
to
behalf.
create peace in the world. The more upset, the more volatility, the more desperation you have, the more vulnerable people are to genuine ideological capture, and also more vulnerable to the influence of countries like China. So it is in our national interest, and it is certainly in the interest of all the moral compass of the human species, to be there to do what we can to help people who are in desperate need. Not only there, but also it's people in this country. If you're so America first, why is it okay that so many federal workers are being traumatized? Why is it okay that the parklands, I'll tell you why the parklands, all of a sudden, all these people being fired who took care of those parklands, so that people will not see what's going on. This is all about chopping up the resources of the United States. This is a hostile takeover, just like in business, so that you take these distressed parts and then sell them off. That's what's happening here.
The federal employees are nice people too, trying to do their work. I'm not trying to malign them as an entire category, but I think it's wrong to see the federal government as some kind of jobs program for people.
This is not about
our money, so it has to be decided, is this important? Is this necessary? Is this vital? And a lot of it is not. And Marco Rubio, who you mentioned a minute ago, yes, I think he was the architect, an ideological figure for a lot of policies that were absolutely terrible as recently as a year and a half ago, which is why I didn't really trust him to be the Secretary of State. He was the Trump pick I was most opposed to of all, because he has been all for increasing funding to USAID, increasing funding for all of these things, but he has fallen in line with Trump because Trump knows, unlike Marco Rubio, that stuff is not popular. That stuff is not America first, and we're changing it. The American people had no idea the vast amount of federal spending that was going on under the auspices of some of these programs, and now we're changing that, and they're going to love it.
The American people want an excellent government. They want a functioning government. And like I said, this is cutting into the bone. This is going into the destruction. You were covering yesterday about the fact that
starving Somalians are cutting into the marrow.
Well, let's.
Okay.
Actually, in terms of our humanitarian values, yes. However, just talking about things going on here, what we're talking about is the fact that the American people want even if a president is going to say, I'm cutting jobs, and Bill Clinton cut many of them, hundreds of thousands of them, it was through a deliberative expert process that had to do with forensic accounting, that had to do with serious, deliberative, sober understanding. When you say the American people want the fat cut, you have just Elon Musk going in there on this ketamine-fueled rampage with a few people who know about technology. They know nothing about government. They know nothing about these programs. This is not deliberative. This is just, he actually said to his tech group, he said, you know, if you see any regulations that just seem dumb, get rid of them. This is not how a government is supposed to function. The American people want to feel that the U.S. government is functioning correctly. And that, if that means cutting out some jobs, then absolutely. But not the way it's being done by Elon Musk.
Wow.
This is absolutely not what should happen within a democracy and a respect for law.
Ketamine is not my drug of choice, so I disagree with Elon on that. We did speak with someone who's involved in the Bill Clinton government efficiency yesterday. It was a great interview. Viewers should go back and watch that from yesterday. And we've got another great interview today with Catherine Eban of Vanity Fair on lab leak stuff. Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.